I feel like running was the one sport that if you have any niggles in your body, it will show when you run. So at 18, I really couldn't even run like a 5K.
Yeah.
So I didn't think I pursued any form of excellence. You know, if you really want to excel at something, you have to put in those 8-10 years of working 3 to 4 hours a day at it.
Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours.
10,000 hours. Never put in 10,000 hours for anything.
Yeah.
And you're doing something that's good for you and your mind and your body, and it's a question, you know. As they say, like when you eat healthy or you don't drink, like 100 questions as to why you're not drinking. I think now you have a lot of CEOs who are running, who are into running, and then you have like in what you see in your Mumbai marathon. There are a lot of leaders who run. Of course, then there'll be the cynics who say, "Oh, see, this person had a heart attack. Why do you want to run?"
Hi, welcome to The Other Side. I'm your host Dilip, an entrepreneur and an endurance athlete. In this podcast, we will explore the experiences of high-performing individuals while unpacking their mental and physical fitness routines that took them to where they are.
Hi, welcome to another episode of The Other Side. Today I'm going to talk to Nirupa Shankar. She's the Joint Managing Director of the Brigade Group, a mother of two, a triathlete, a marathoner, and she claims to be the greatest fan of Nadal. But we don't talk about real estate or running a public listed company where she is a Joint Managing Director. This is going to be a cool and fun conversation for you to listen up. Let's get into it. Thank you, Nirupa, for taking time and sit with me today. The theme of this podcast, the conversations which I usually have, is to unpack and explore the other side of people I find very interesting. And it's usually around my curiosity because for a lot of people, they know Nirupa as a corporate leader. You know, you're one of the known leaders in a large brand brigade. But I'm not sure if a lot of people know about your other side, which was very interesting to me when someone told me, hey, you know, this is what she does for her as a passion, as a hobby. And I got very curious. And to be very honest, I couldn't get a lot of literature, which I could spend time
on the triathlon
prepping.
part, is it?
Yes. So I thought, why not I talk to you and kind of unpack that, and hoping that's you know, a lot of useful. Hopefully, it's a useful knowledge base for people listening and watching. So thank you for agreeing to do this.
My pleasure.
I want to start by asking, how many Nadal live matches have you seen in your life?
2.
2?
Yeah, I'm a huge Nadal fan.
I know
so I've watched him win the US Open finals against Djokovic. And I recently went for his French Open, which he played against, I think it was Casper Ruud.
Okay.
So hopefully, it was his 22nd Grand Slam.
Yeah.
So hopefully not his last.
Yeah.
And I'd gone to the French Open once before, thinking, okay, it's French Open, Nadal is going to win, I have to go see this. And so I bought tickets for the semis and the finals, and he lost in the quarters.
Oh, man.
Of all the years that he had to lose, he lost that year in the quarters, so I didn't get to see him then.
Right.
So it was always my wish to see him, you know, in his home element.
Right. So, of course, I mean, the generation what we live, we have seen some amazing players. And for the people who think Federer and Djokovic is the greatest, what makes you think Nadal is the greatest?
Oh gosh, this could go on forever. The whole conversation.
Let's keep it very short to say, why do Nirupa thinks that Nadal is the greatest?
It's so many things, right? It's not just like, okay, these are my stats, right? It's the personality. I like the personality that he is.
Sure.
It's, you know, I feel like it's much like me. I feel like it doesn't come naturally. Of course, he's smart. He's obviously very talented. But when he plays, it looks like he's working really hard at every single shot. And I feel, and you know, when people talk about Djokovic and Federer, they say, oh, it comes so easily, it comes so naturally to him, to them. And I feel like Nadal is somebody I can identify with because I feel like I've had to work hard at my sport. Like, I don't think it's just come naturally to me. It's something I need to work hard at. So, and it's the fighting spirit, it's the mindset, it's the mentality, and it's also the entertainment. I just find Nadal a lot more entertaining to watch than, you know,
the other guys.
Than Djokovic.
Yeah, I hope people don't start pinging you on social media to say that you were wrong. But yeah, I mean, everyone has their own favorites. So that sets a good base. I want to ask you to start with, there's a lot to unpack about you. I usually start with probably one of the two toughest things. One, what was your workout for the in the morning today?
The morning. I didn't work out this morning because I went out
Late night Friday?
night last night. So
Okay.
my workout took the back seat.
Okay. And so does that mean you're doing your workout tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tomorrow I'm biking. Yeah.
Biking, is it? How long? Is it indoor, outdoor?
It's outdoors.
Okay.
So Sundays I try to do my outdoor
Okay.
biking, which is tomorrow I should try to hit 80K.
And is it solo or with a group?
Prefer to go with the group.
Okay.
It's just more fun.
Yeah.
More. I like to chat.
Yeah.
So I like to talk, and the group always helps. So
Brilliant. Yes.
definitely with the group.
Brilliant. So that gets a cue that, okay, you're already into cycling, which we have to unpack.
Yeah.
What was on your breakfast plate in the morning?
Breakfast plate was mangoes because
Okay.
it's the season for mangoes.
All right. So you start your day with the best
Yes.
dessert to get started with.
Mangoes, because that's the best time to have it.
Right.
And then lunch. I mean, actually, I had a snack. I had a
Okay.
protein shake for
Okay.
a snack. And then
Okay.
lunch was ragi roti and,
Okay.
dals and veggies and all that good stuff.
Gives me some cues that you're very conscious about what you're putting into your system.
I try to be, but 5 o'clock is my weak point. We haven't gotten there yet. So
Yeah,
if you
okay.
had asked me what you had at 5 o'clock, that would not have been so healthy.
So that sets expectation that you're not going to talk about what you eat at 5 o'clock. So yeah, that's it, done. Let's start with the sporting space, right? So going back to your early days, growing days,
Yeah.
I was watching your TED Talk, and you had said there you had always loved playing sport,
Yeah.
but you never pursued it enough to be great at it.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate and talk through how were you as a young kid from school to college, about your sporting fitness?
Yeah. Honestly, I think I love sport. Like, I love to sweat it out. So I used to do something. So every summer I would only play tennis.
Okay.
But then playing only 3 months a year, you're never going to be good at it.
How did you pick how did you pick tennis?
Tennis, because I think I grew up watching it. So my dad and I would watch every single Grand Slam, over the course of the year. So that was our thing. So
Okay.
I grew up watching tennis,
Okay.
starting from maybe Stefan Edberg days.
Wow.
So I've been watching, Grand Slams are one thing I watch.
Okay.
And so I picked up tennis. I love the sport. I think it's a beautiful sport. So I wanted to play it, but I started really late in life. So I started maybe 12, which is not early enough to get
Sure.
good at something, and especially if we're going to do it every summer.
Yeah.
During the school days, then I would do basketball. So I loved basketball. So I would leave home early, 7 o'clock, to hit the basketball court before school started. And that I really had fun with. So I co-captained our school basketball team.
Which school is this?
Sophia High School,
Okay,
down the
okay,
road. So I
okay.
used to just walk up.
Right.
And then I went to Malya Aditi for the 11th and 12th. And there they didn't have a full-fledged team. So there I captained the girls team as well. And we didn't win any major tournaments, but it was the first time the school actually entered into multiple basketball
Tournaments, okay.
competitions. Yeah.
Right.
Overall, school was good. Like I feel like I never worked very hard at anything.
Okay.
If things got too tough, waking up got too hard, I would just stop or
Yeah.
whine about it.
Right.
Swimming, again, I would do very sporadically, summer camp. So didn't really pursue anything for a long period of time. I did Carnatic music for 3 years and I
Okay.
stopped. So I really didn't pursue anything, and apart from just getting decent grades at school, really didn't do anything much. Sometimes I'd enter inter-school competitions for debate or this or that, but nothing really to take me through my entire span of life to excel at something.
Sure.
If you really want to excel at something, you have to put in those 8-10 years
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
working 3 to
This
4
is
hours a
the
day at it.
Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours.
10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Never put in 10,000 hours
Yeah.
for anything.
Yeah. Right.
Hopefully work
But
till
you should,
now.
I don't
so
know if you've
hopefully
read, you should probably also read David Epstein's range, where he goes on the other side contradiction that you don't need 10,000 hours because he's gone out and researched, sportsmen, elite athletes, where say that they probably started a little late in life and they've also
Yeah.
kind of made it. So,
Yeah.
so there's hope, right?
Yeah,
so
there's
yeah,
hope.
so school days. So for typical, so how old are you, by the way, right now?
I'm 40.
Right. So, which means growing up 80s, right? So,
Yeah,
for an 80s kid, sporting doesn't come for a lot of people very naturally. Like, that was
Yeah.
not the culture, right? So, how was it in the family? Like, sport, fitness was like a thing, or was it you who was kind of having
Not
keen
really.
interest?
Like, my immediate family, that is my parents and my sister, were really not into sport.
Okay.
Maybe as a young kid, my dad used to play a bit of table tennis, carom,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mom never used to play any sport. So really that's what I'm saying. I don't think it comes naturally to me,
Okay.
but maybe my extended family, like cousins and all that, they were pretty good badminton players.
Okay.
Very tall, lean people. I don't know
Okay.
what happened here, but
Sure.
didn't get the height. I didn't
Right.
get the leanness for sure. But
Right.
anyway, so
Yeah, but you made it to the school captain,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's a good thing.
I was very aggressive.
Okay.
I think I used all the weight to like get my way around.
Okay,
So
okay.
I used to be very aggressive. So they used to call me the bull.
Okay.
So what I didn't have in height, I made up in aggression.
Aggression, yeah. But that still didn't make you explore maybe wrestling or any other sport,
No.
right? So from school to college, was the transition still going into the sports?
So actually, after 12th standard, I moved to the US for about 8 years.
Okay.
And there, honestly, everything came to a standstill. I tried playing club sport. I was like the shortest person there. I'm 5'3". So I'm not very tall.
Yeah.
So all the women there are so much taller. There's just no chance of
Playing.
adding value to any team
Yeah.
when you're that short. And those women are just a lot stronger. So
Yeah.
didn't play any
And
sport.
the culture is also very different because they're coming from a cross country or even in the school level, they have those.
It's highly competitive and,
yeah.
So I just honestly didn't do any sport from 18 to almost mid-30s.
Okay. And that's when the Eureka moment happened.
So I went to the gym
Okay.
to like just get some exercise in.
During the college
Yeah,
days.
between 18 to whatever, my mid-30s, I would go to the gym because obviously you need to stay somewhat fit. But I didn't play any sport the entire time. So,
Okay.
and in fact, at 18, my knees hurt so badly because there's something called a jumper's knee. Like, in school sports, you come in and you start playing. There's no warm-up, there's no cool-down,
yeah.
there's no
There's no
stretching,
mobility, yeah,
there's no
yeah.
mobility, there's no
Yeah.
strength training, there's
Yeah.
no yoga,
Plus,
there's no
not
there's no
decent
resistance
footwears.
band
Yeah,
training.
yeah.
So you come in, you start playing. You finish playing, you go to the assembly, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I had, at 18 years old, I couldn't even climb a flight of stairs. I was in a solid amount of pain. So then I had to go to physio, and then the physio said, okay, go do all these glute exercises and knee exercise, knee strengthening of all the muscles around the knee. So I did that, and that's all I did.
Okay.
So at 18, I really couldn't even run like a 5K.
Right. So all through this till your mid-20s, I mean, sports took a back seat, right? So staying fit, staying healthy at that age usually doesn't come naturally to that age group,
Yeah.
right? It's not the priority at all. How was it for you? Was it still in your conscious mind that, look, I want to stay fit, stay healthy, or?
Yeah, actually, there's this misnomer that, Americans, they're all like fat. You go to college, there's not a single overweight person. Everybody is into fitness. Like the gyms are packed, people are so active, at least at that age group, 18 to 22. Everybody's so health conscious at
Why is
18.
what do you think it's like that in the US?
I don't know. People are health conscious. I think
Okay.
this whole average, the obesity in America is limited to a few states.
Places,
It's limited to a few areas. And the national average might be certain. But in college, there were girls who would eat just like boiled vegetables because they wanted to stay fit. Like the gyms were always packed. And it was hard pressed for me to find an overweight person in college. And that college had 18,000 people.
Okay.
So there is this whole health consciousness always at the back of your mind. And honestly, it gets to you quite early. I honestly didn't care. I was just so excited that I could have waffles for breakfast and burgers for lunch and pizza for dinner and no restrictions on food. So I definitely gained, there's something called a freshman 15. I gained, and that's usually 15 pounds. I gained 15 kilos.
Okay.
So every time I would go to the US, I'd gain weight. I'd come back to India in 4 months. In your 20s, you lose weight so easily. At 3-4 months, I'd shed everything.
Okay.
But I didn't want to, obviously be overweight. But there is some health conscious, but I was not obsessed. I've never been obsessed with weight and stuff.
Okay. So you never had any challenges as such where, you felt that, okay, you're kind of treating the line of being overweight or any of such issues?
I was borderline, yeah. It would like yo-yo here and there. And I honestly, I didn't.
That's a very honest confession.
Yeah, I didn't really care too much. Like I was not obsessed.
Okay.
I was not obsessed.
All right. Okay. All right. So right now, when you look at it, you're 40 now. What does fitness mean to you? Like, how would you define fitness for yourself?
I think it's important on many fronts to not have that extra weight on you because it does weigh you down. Pun intended. Fitness to me is just, hey, can I go about my day-to-day activities? And if I want to get up in the morning and run 10K, can I run 10K without any pain? Because I feel like running was the one sport that if you have any niggles in your body, it will show when you run.
Sure.
So if you can run pain-free,
Yeah.
for me, that means everything in your machinery, in your body is functioning. It's well-oiled. You have a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Because the moment the people who get pain when they run, then something is off somewhere.
Yeah.
So I like to run for me, if I can run 10K pain-free,
Yeah.
it means, okay, I'm fit.
You're fit.
Because, like I said, to me, running shows whether you have a well-oiled machine or not.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So just to add to a layer to it, right? You're a mother of two. In
Yeah.
a sense, you're also an outlier because there are not many corporate women leaders, in our industry across sectors, right?
Yeah.
Let alone, I don't know much about the real estate, but I would assume it's the same ratio that there
even
might not be
lesser.
many, even
Yeah.
lesser, right? So in that sense, you're a lot outlier. Plus now you train an endurance sport, triathlon, which is running, cycling, swimming,
Yeah.
and you were just telling you're training for full Ironman,
Yeah.
right? So we'll talk more about that. But if you combine all these factors, the odds are extremely high to look at someone like you to say that how would you find time
Yeah.
to train? So I want you to kind of delve into your mental models.
Yeah.
What makes you pursue this as a primary activity? Like
Yeah.
sport, endurance sport is an activity for you to stay fit, I would assume. And like you
Yeah.
were saying before we roll the camera, that you're doing it for that sense of not winning a
Yeah.
podium, but the sense of finishing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that allows you to stay fit. But then you have this extremely demanding
Yeah.
personal life,
Yeah.
professional life.
Yeah.
So why endurance sports?
Yeah.
And why choosing this at this age where most of the people are done, right?
So, long question.
Sure.
I'll try and keep as concise as possible.
You can go as long as you want.
So, the thing is, I think I started very late in life, first of all. So, I'm not going to win any major triathlon because I was not some national level swimmer. I was not some national level runner. My first 10K I did after my first child. At 35 years old was when I did my first 10K, 35, 34, I can't remember now. So that was just 5 years ago. And the reason I started getting into running, first of all, was because I had gained 30 kilos. And I was significantly overweight. I had to shed that weight. And I started running as a form of cardio. I was doing strength. I said, okay, as a form of cardio. And like I said, I had done so much of strength training that I started to run pain-free.
Okay.
But however, if you run enough, you'll start getting niggles. So if you want to run well, and I love running, I find it a de-stressor, and it's my biggest de-stressor, then you need to stretch.
Yes.
Then you need to do some yoga. If you want to run pain-free, you need to do some strength training.
There's a lot of ancillary stuff around running.
Yeah. If you want to run pain-free, you need to ice your knees, or you need to do swim or go for a cold swim, so that inflammation reduces. If you want to run, you need to do your foam rolling.
Foam rolling, yeah.
So by the time you do all these things, so I started swimming to offset the inflammation of the running.
Okay.
So then once you start swimming, you're like, okay, then COVID hit or something hit. And I was like, okay, then if you add one more sport like cycling, then you're anyway doing all of this. And the funny part is the running community that I was part of this Runners 360, Shreyas Karnad's group. And that community talked a lot about triathlon. So I just got interested.
Okay.
And I probably joined his thing when I was maybe, like I said, 35, 36.
Okay.
And so at that point, 36, 4 years ago, I was like, what is this triathlon business? Like, I had no idea about it, and I didn't know I could ever do it. And so I said, okay, maybe, so I understood talking to people. Okay, so I said, okay, I'll do a sprint triathlon at 36. I'll do a Olympic distance at 37. I'll do a half Ironman at 38.
Okay.
And then before I turn 40, the gift to myself will be
full Ironman.
a full Ironman. I'll gift it to myself.
Yeah.
So that's what drove me. So it started like that. The journey started with, hey, let me train for a sprint triathlon. And that felt like a huge achievement. And even in fact, my first TEDx talk or second one was on this. Just getting to being called a triathlete for me meant a lot.
Yeah.
Because I love sport, I love being athletic, I love spending time on athletics, but it didn't come naturally. So I was never like really some great athlete. So for me to be called a triathlete meant something to me. And I always felt that, hey, throughout school, I just went along happily, casually, very... anything got too tough, I would just stop doing it. If I didn't like it, I'll stop it.
Yeah.
So I didn't think I pursued any form of excellence. And as you grow in this corporate leader, as you grow in the corporate world, like people start looking to you for guidance, right? And I'm like, who am I to give them guidance if I have no control over myself? Like, who am I to talk about excellence if I am not excellent myself? So like, who am I to tell 2,000 people what to do if I can't listen to what I tell myself?
Yeah.
So it kind of went from that mentality. So even the weight loss, I shed 30 kilos like twice for both my kids.
Wow.
And it, and people notice that and they talk about it. But for me, it was more like, hey, if I can't control what I eat, if I can't control my temperament, if I can't control my time, my schedule, how I want to spend my life, who am I to tell other people what to do? For me, I had to prove to myself that, hey, there's something about me that I'm in control of myself before I'm telling you what to do.
Sure.
Otherwise, I sound like a hypocrite,
Yeah,
So I didn't want to be that.
Right.
And for me, it's a way to push myself because it's not like there's some other great natural talent. Like my sister's a phenomenal singer. It's just natural. I'm not some great chef. It's not, I hate cooking. Like it doesn't come naturally. I'm not I don't like a great artist, So for me, I've had to work hard to get to some level of endurance. I'm not fast, so I have to go distance only.
Yeah.
If you're not fast,
so to look at endurance.
So you know what they say about triathletes, right?
Yeah.
Why suck at one sport when you can suck at three?
All the three. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not the fastest in the room. So I'd rather do distance. And when you do an Ironman, nobody's going to say how long did it take you. They're just going to be like, oh, you completed.
You did it.
They're not going to ask you your time.
Yes.
So for me, endurance made sense. But yes, it is a lot on the body. It's a lot on time. But I've said I'm going to do only one event a year because I think it's a bit unfair. I have very young kids, 3 and 7.
Yeah.
They need my time. They need me. And if you're on a very strict schedule, you're irritable when things don't go as per schedule. Like if they take half an hour extra to come for a bath, I'm going to not be happy about it.
Yeah.
So I just want to do one event a year and train for that event and then take a break because, family needs time. Yeah. You might want to work overtime the rest of the year because it's something's got to give somewhere.
Yeah. So that identity which you are seeking out, again, going back to my previous note that at the age of 40, you're trying to seek an identity. It's essentially, did it come naturally to you once you got curious about the sport and then you also realized that it's very consuming, it's very demanding, and it's physically and mentally, very fatiguing, right? Yeah. Did it come again naturally to you to say that, look, let's build some continuity and see how comfortable you become? Or there was a point when you said that this is not happening because, and I ask this because you seem to have figured out chronology when you said you started, Olympic distance, and then when you do half, and then now you're looking full, right? So there seem to be some mental framework in how you're kind of progressing. Most of the people, like I mostly come from a marathon space, and I see suddenly someone stands up and say, look, I want to do a marathon. And it come kind of very shocked to me because you haven't done a 5K, you've done not a 10K, and how can you think about a marathon today, right? Yeah. So what was in it for you was there these moments where you thought, no, it's not happening?
So they always say, right, if you're really frustrated and tired, you take a break, you don't stop. So I've taken breaks. So it didn't go according to plan. So I didn't do the full Ironman before I turned 40, but this year is my 40th year. I had to take a break because life happens. I had a couple of personal emergencies last year, so I couldn't train. I didn't train all of last year. I just didn't train and I couldn't. And my family needed my time and I wanted to give it that, so life happens, so it's okay. Not the end of the world.
Of course.
You adjust and readjust your time. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not a professional athlete. Like every year is not like at some ticking time bomb, right? Yeah. I feel that I'm not under solid time pressure. So I'm okay if, hey, there are curveballs along the way.
Sure.
If work needs my priority, work has my priority because that's my job. If my family needs my priority, my family gets my priority.
Yeah.
This is like, it's nice to do and nice to have, and it's a hobby, it's a passion, and of course you need to put in the time. But hey, if life happens along the way, I'm not going to get too frustrated. It's a way for me to stay disciplined. It's a way for me to make myself accountable. But I'm not going to stress out so much that, it stresses me instead of me enjoying the sport as to why I started it, you know.
Right.
I'm doing this because I want to do something for myself. But if it starts to stress me out beyond a point where it's not worth it, then you do have to question, hey, maybe I take it slower. So I had this thing of full Ironman by 40, and many people have different ways to do it. So one of my previous coaches, he doesn't want to do a full Ironman. He just wants to get faster at half Ironman. And see, some of these distances are not good on the body. Like I know that, dude, 15 hours of cardio is not good for you. Eventually, in the long run, it's not good for you. I know that. So it's not something I'm going to keep stressing myself about. So I said, okay, after I hit this full Ironman, I'm going to go back.
Okay.
I'm going to do shorter distances and try to go faster.
Right.
And then maybe 2, 3 years or 4 years down the line, when I have more time on my hands and my kids are in higher grades in school, I'm going to try and do that full Ironman a little faster.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll go back. Like you know, success or progress is never linear.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. For me, this is my plan. I'm just going to do one sprint, one Olympic, one half, and then one full, and then I'm going to go back to shorter distances and try to get faster, because I actually think it's much harder to get faster than just do more distance, right? That's not the solution.
So this is very fascinating to me, because while you were talking, explaining me the frameworks, right? So you're thinking like an athlete, right? Although you are not a professional athlete, and that doesn't get food on your table in terms, there are no sponsors for you who are making you do that. You have a corporate job to it, right? So you're thinking as an athlete, you're wired like an athlete, right? So that characteristic of being an athlete, being a sports person, does it anchor you today in your personal and professional life? Is that some form of a driving influence in how you kind of condense your personal and professional life?
Like everybody has certain like role models. I grew up playing sport. Like I think I like being physically active, so I like that. Like some people have like Bollywood stars as their idols and all that, and I have sports people as my idols. You know, like if you ask me like who do you really admire, say apart from your parents or whatever, it would be a sports person, because I know what it takes. It takes something else, and I'm sure every profession requires that in some form or the other. But I like sport. I like what it brings to the table. I like who it makes you. I like all the learnings that you get from it. And I'm not saying there are learnings in every career. Like in my career, there are a lot of learnings. I'm sure as an actor, there'll be a lot of learnings. But I like what sport brings to the table. Yeah.
Right. So Varun, your husband, he is also a triathlete. So between two of you, who geeks out more on the sport?
I think neither of us are geeks about it. Like, I don't watch it. I don't read too much about it unless I'm like, oh my God, how do I use the loo? What do I do if I need to use the loo while I'm doing a full marathon or full Ironman? So, like, very practical issues. I like to read about sports people. So, I read a bit about, like, autobiographies and stuff.
About athletes,
But I'm not like, I don't think neither of us are very obsessive about it. Like he does shorter distances, but he's the faster, more natural athlete. So he can just wake up and, probably do an Olympic distance.
Yeah, he was telling me that,
I'm just like, okay, whatever.
So between two of you, who was the first to adopt to the sport?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I think he just got...
He got inspired by you.
I don't know if inspired is the word. He's like...
Let's give it a shot.
You can't beat him, then join him kind of a thing.
Right.
So,
perfect. Yeah. So...
I'm definitely more hardcore. He's the chiller.
Guy who gets to the finish line much more at ease.
Yeah, but also, I think he just likes to take things easy, and I like to... If I have a free day, I'm like, why do I have a free day? Like, what do I do with this time? So...
All right. So let's break your typical routine. So specifically about your training. So you're training for Copenhagen Ironman, which is August. So you would be starting with your peak training anytime, probably by another month or so?
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm building up in April and May and June.
Okay.
I'm thinking July is going to be peak. Mid-June to end of July is peak.
Yeah.
And then I taper off in August.
So you've typically gone through the cycles in your half and in your Olympic distance. So talk to me that when you start training and you have a race on your calendar, you're basically programming a lot around your life, your work life, your personal life. So how does a typical day routine look like? Like morning, evening, and because you're squeezing in those hours of training as well as life?
So frankly, it is right now very challenging because I feel like I was waking up at 6 o'clock. One child goes to the bus at 7, the other goes to school by 8, and then I have to get ready by 9. So there's really not much time to get a 1 hour workout in. So I had to wake up at 5 if I wanted to do that. So it was a bit of a challenge. So I was not very regular with the 5 a.m. wake up. Because if you want to wake up at 5, you need to sleep by 9:30, 10.
Yeah, and that's not happening.
And it happens sometimes, but rarely.
Okay.
And then I have young kids, so they keep waking you up. Oh, the blanket is not on me. Oh, they have a cough. They have a cold. They have fever. Like you're low on sleep in general. So I try to do evening workouts for an hour. So work is typically like, ideally, I leave home by 9:30, 9:45. So 10 to 6 is minimum at work. And then you come back by 6, 6:30, try to work out in the evening for an hour.
Okay.
And 7:30, the kids are home. By 9:30, 9:30, they're in bed. And I also try to get to bed with them. So I stop watching TV.
Okay.
I just don't watch Netflix because there's no point. You can't.
Is it a recent phenomenon because of your training?
Yeah.
Okay.
If there wasn't any training, I'd be up till midnight watching
Something.
Netflix.
Yeah. Okay. So training makes you get back.
Yeah.
So you're getting
I
those.
stop watching Netflix. I just don't.
Okay.
I just don't.
So the sleep has
It's
gotten a
priority
precedence.
for me.
Yeah. Right.
I'd rather read a book, even if it's 3-4 pages, and just go to bed. I read a lot on, the mind, attitude, a lot on human behavior, psychology. I like that kind of stuff. So I go to bed reading that stuff.
So typically getting that quantity and quality of sleep, which now has kind of ingrained into your system because of your physical training, has that kind of brought any change in your overall cognitive thinking, or rather how you put yourself into?
I definitely think so. Like the discipline that you get to, right? Like for me, 8 hours is just a must. Like I feel good when I'm in bed by 9:30, 10. Like for me to say this, like I was always a night owl. Never used to sleep before 12, 1. So for me it was like, hey, bringing in I felt like half the day is not over till 1. At 9 p.m. I'm like, hey, I have half the day left.
Yeah.
So I always used to study late. I used to work late. I used to do my emails. I used to watch. So now I've moved to a 9 o'clock. I'm like, okay, by 9, I need to be ready to go to bed, and maybe finally I sleep by 10. And waking up at 6, 6:30 is not a problem. So I like that. I think it's so important. Like Varun and I used to have a lot of arguments because before the triathlon, I just wanted to go out 4 nights a week and just have a good time. I ran a couple of bars. I started a couple of restaurants and bars. And so nightlife.
So that's work for you.
I worked, I had to be there like till 1 in the morning. And so for me to make this change was huge. Like that's a huge lifestyle change. And I remember when I was first talking to my running coach, I used to be like, why? What about my friends? Like my whole friend circle almost changed because I stopped partying.
Yeah.
And not completely stopped, but it changed.
Yeah.
Like the people I used to socialize with 3-4 times a week stopped. And I changed it to a different set of friends who are more into fitness.
Okay.
Because that's...
So I was about to ask you that. So that's a cultural shift, right? I mean, you're moving out.
That's what you need. It's really crazy, but accepting that took me some time. I'll be honest, it took me a good year and a half to accept and be comfortable with, hey, it's okay to not go out 4 times a week. Go out once a week. It's all right.
Right.
So
is there acceptance because now you have those set of friends who are also having those same patterns, and the existing ones probably still maybe not get why you're doing this over the weekend, doing 100K by rides and runs.
So that's what I feel like. It's a balance. Like, at the end of it, I really think backwards, right? Like at the end of my life, like what am I going to remember? Sometimes it's those moments with your friends. And that's why I said yesterday, I had good intentions of coming back early and doing a workout in the morning. But I landed up meeting some friends that I hadn't met in a while. And I said, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. Make it up some other way.
Yeah.
Hopefully this won't come to bite you on race day, but make it up in another way.
But you're wired that way that you know that even if that doesn't happen, you're probably going to get that training maybe the next day.
Yeah.
You still have
I'll
that
make
in your
up for it
mind
somehow.
calendar.
Somehow I'll make up for it because, I mean, I just think that I'm not very rigid as a person, which I think helps me. So
and doesn't frustrate you to say that, okay, that was on your training calendar, you missed it throughout the day?
It does, but now it's gone. What are you going to do about it? Like, so I like to recalibrate a lot. So I'm constantly recalibrating because work is not very predictable. Nothing in life is predictable. Yeah, tomorrow anything could happen. So I'm constantly recalibrating. Like I said, last year I had big intentions of doing this. Copenhagen was actually for last year. I had to defer it because of, like I said, personal exigencies. So you constantly recalibrate, and it's okay. So life is subject to change. You know, it never goes according to how you planned it and all that. So it's okay.
So talk to me some optics of your, because you're triathlete, right?
Yeah.
So there's too much to get into your training calendar. There's running training, there's a swimming, there is cycling, then there's strength training, and then there's probably the stretching, flexibility, all of that jazz, right? So talk to me when you're into your training calendar, how does that kind of pan out? Like how much of strength sessions are you doing? What kind of a running routine you've got?
So basically, I was getting bored also. The reason I got into triathlon training is because, you know, if you run every day, it gets a little boring.
Okay.
So I liked running twice or thrice a week, but I needed some other cardio.
Yeah.
So then, you know, I love triathlon training because it's twice a week running, twice a week swimming, twice a week cycling.
Okay.
So you get your 6 workouts in.
Okay.
Then you do like three sessions of strength. So that's 9 hours. Then you do like 1 hour of this release. I need a myofascial release because otherwise I'm super tight. So that's about 10 hours a week.
Right. So these 10 hours are again broken into when you're getting your morning sessions or evening sessions, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily all the morning.
Like I said, so some days at work I have to travel. I travel a significant amount. So I have to go to whatever, Bombay, Chennai, Hyderabad, wherever. So those days, if I'm doing day trips, I can't get a workout in.
Okay.
So sometimes I do 2 workouts. So basically I was talking about approximately 10 hours of training, which is not too bad. So if I can't do it on a certain day, I'll try to do 2 workouts on a Saturday or a Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday are usually my makeup days.
Okay.
And so I'll try to make up for that time.
And are you cognizant now that you know that in the future you have a race coming in your calendar? Are you cognizant about, or rather how much of control you have to regulate your work demand, right? Because travel comes very default to you, right?
Yeah.
So do you kind of move around those stuff because you have that on your calendar that you have a race coming up, or you're still kind of
I mean,
hustling?
everything is blocked on the calendar, and I pick a race where I know it'll be not peak times, but I can't drop the ball on work.
Okay.
That's my job.
Yeah.
So I can't drop the ball there. Maybe if like I need to come in like a little later for a few weeks, I can do that. But I can't drop the ball on work.
Okay. And those moments when you feel that work is work, right? I mean, you don't know what's coming your way, right? And then you have to sideline, like I said, you're not a professional athlete, right? But you are also wired like an athlete now, right? That's your characteristic. Does that frustrate you, say that you still didn't get your strength or doesn't still get your run?
So I definitely don't have the perfect training schedule.
Okay.
There are many times when I have to miss my workouts.
Okay.
There are many times when I'm traveling. Like I have 20 weeks for this event. I already know I'm traveling 7 weekends.
Okay.
So I don't know how I'm going to do my my long bike rides. I'm more worried about the bike. Running you can do anywhere, but like just getting a bike, going on long rides when you have to do 100, 140 kilometers, I don't know how I'm going to do that. So that's already a point of tension for me because out of 20 weeks, 7, I already know I'm traveling. So this is like what's already known. I don't know what unknown is going to come.
And you get your quality sessions essentially on the weekends.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is a big question mark, to be honest. I really don't know if I'm going to be prepared. And the thing is, I don't think you're ever fully prepared. Like there are, of course, some exceptions to the rule and some people are very good about their training sessions. I never have a perfect training schedule. It's always, I've always done less than what I'm supposed to do.
Which means you're iterating a lot with your coach in terms of kind of
he's just like, I'm just like, listen, this is life and I'm sorry,
reality.
I can't. I'm already telling you upfront that I won't be able to do this and this.
Yeah.
So we try to do the best you can with what you have is what I would say. Like I said, I'm not trying to get podium. There's no chance of me winning some international event. So just forget about it.
You never know. I mean, if you pick up a race
maybe when I'm 80 and I'm still doing it, I might. But at 40, I'm not winning anything.
So that's again the athlete mindset that you still are wired to say that you're competitive, but you're also fairly reasonable.
No, I know like the kind of competition out there. So I'm just trying to see, hey, what's my baseline time? Can I improve? It's only self-improvement, right? Like if I could compete, to get a podium, my thought process would be a lot different. But and I told my mom, I said, why didn't you put me into swimming earlier? Why didn't you put me in? She's like, we grew up like not in a very humble household. She's like, listen, we didn't have we didn't have at that point in time the finances to put you into early swimming at 4 years old and all that. And so we did it when we could. So calm down.
Yeah.
So I've realized just do what you can with what you have. And I have limited amount of time.
Yeah.
and I'm going to do what best I can in that limited amount of time. I can't, but work is my priority, my family is my priority. This is also a priority for myself, but I need to understand where it plays in the overall picture.
Scheme.
You know?
Yeah.
The world will move on.
Right.
If I don't do one event and I do another,
Yeah.
I can't drop the ball on work. There's too much. It's a public listed company.
Yeah.
It's a large company. There's a
Yeah.
lot of pressure, and I can't drop the ball there. So
right.
something's got to give somewhere, and I understand that. I understand what relationship this has. It's important to me.
Yeah.
But
not for people who are looking up to you for other reasons.
No.
Yeah. No, that's it. Interesting because
and my kids too. Eventually, I don't want them to grow up thinking my mom was never around.
Yeah, because she was getting the long runs and
because she was busy exercising. I already get those questions. Why are you exercising?
Why exercising?
So much?
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you not exercising as much? Get off the TV.
But how's the fabric at home? Because unlike moms, and I say this being very mindful that there are not many women at this age groups who are triathletes, right, or into endurance sports. So there are women who would probably get their aerobics, they get some cardio, get their gym, yoga, right? But someone like you, and you have to get into those 8 to 10 hours of training, your kids are looking up to you and seeing you firsthand to see that there's too much of physical work which is happening. So is there fabric at home for the kids that, okay, it comes naturally to them also to kind of look at sports, fitness, or they're too young to kind of absorb that?
I think right now they're a bit too young. The little one, definitely if I go to swim, then, the kids are like, oh, I want to come with you. When I go to the gym, they're like, oh, I want to come with you. So hopefully it'll work. One is 7, one is 3. So the 7-year-old is already doing football and swimming. And she started tennis and stopped. So I'm trying to make her avoid the same mistakes I did, which was stopping midway just because it got too hard.
Okay.
But kids have to be kids also. So I'm not one of those. I'm not going to put so much pressure that she stops enjoying it. So definitely physical activity is super important for me, and I've tried to emphasize it on them. They see me do it, so they get it.
Okay.
I want to take them running in Cubbon Park. I want to take them swimming when I go swimming. When I go to the gym, they come.
Okay.
And they'll sit and watch and see me do my strength training. They'll try to imitate me. All that happens. So hopefully it rubs off.
Yeah. So the kids are getting a natural download, looking at you, looking at Varun to see.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
Guys are doing that.
It's important to us. I think exercise, we both love to exercise. So that's that.
Great.
But I think, so sometimes, I do question, hey, do the people doing the 45 minutes of workout a day, have they got it more right than me?
Right.
Because it's less impact on your body. And sometimes, see, you're going out in the sun. And then my nutritionist told me I have some pitta dosha.
Okay.
So that means I shouldn't be out in the sun.
Okay.
Because I already have a lot of fire inside of me, and more sun on me is not good for me.
But you ought to do a heat training if you ever want to go to Kona, right?
Exactly. I'm not going to go to Kona. I've picked cold places for my runs now that I know what I am.
Right.
So I know that, hey, excessive sunlight, not good for a person in general. So the funny part is sometimes maybe the couch potato sitting at home doing 45 minutes of elliptical training is probably in a better space 40 years down the line than I am, and I'm conscious of that.
Yeah.
But I still want to do this for myself. For me, it's just, how can I push myself? How do I get mentally strong? Because for the reasons I said, I want to be in control of myself and my mind before I feel I'm ready to lead an organization.
Yeah. So you did your debut marathon this February, right? So I want to know how it went. Also kind of add to it, you were telling me you got into a training phase, also not in an ideal time of your life. You had personal exigencies. So getting out of it and training for the full marathon for sure won't have been easy, right? So how was that training phase? And by the way, how much did you finish your debut marathon?
So a couple of things. I think the first, my full marathon was done as training for the full Ironman.
Okay.
42 kilometers on the knees. I don't know if it's something I would want to constantly do, just keeping my knees in mind. Took about 4 hours, 45 minutes. It was great. I had a blast. So the max I had trained was about 25 kilometers, 27 kilometers before that. I hadn't had much time to train. I had about December, 2.5 months to train.
Okay.
So I didn't do much, honestly. I only did running. Every Sunday, like I started, so I had about 8 to 10 weeks. So I did.
So that was a very running specific training block.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I honestly, at that time, I didn't have the time to do anything else. I was just like, let me just get this marathon out of the way. So every Sunday, I just did 10, 12, 15, 18, 21,
Okay.
24, 27, and 130.
So it's only the Sunday long runs you're doing.
I did 1 week, in between I
Weekdays.
did 2 shorter runs, like 5K, 7K,
Okay.
and that's it.
Okay.
So it wasn't great, it wasn't ideal. And the last few runs of 27, 30K, I was walking the last 5 kilometers.
Okay.
I would do it in Bangalore and Cubbon Park, so it was hot and I didn't feel great about it. I was walking. But when I went to Delhi, and I was very slow. Like I said, I was walking the last 4-5 kilometers. I would get like shoe bites. My shoes kept changing my shoes.
Which was the longest? How much was the longest you did for the training phase?
That's about, I did 30, but
was
the
the
last
longest.
3-4 I walked.
Okay.
So
Of the 30
basically
kilometer.
26
Okay.
or 27 is what I did.
Okay. And then you showed up at the start line to do a 42 kilometers.
Yeah. So on the day, the week leading to the event was very close friends on 50th. Landed up staying till 6 in the morning.
Okay.
Twisted my ankle that morning at 6 in the morning. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I couldn't run because my ankle was twisted. So I had to give it rest. Thursday, for some reason, I started getting a back spasm and neck started catching. And you know, like when you can't move your neck at all.
Okay.
So that happened on Thursday, Friday. And Saturday, it was even worse. And I had to go to Delhi on Saturday because the race was on Sunday. And you know, when the flight landed, it jerked a bit and the whole neck like compressed and I was in great amounts of pain. And I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I don't know if I can run 5 kilometers, let alone 42. But anyway, I took a lot of painkillers, muscle relaxants, and
before
said a small prayer.
Right. Oh, wow. And it helped.
And I went
Debut
to bed.
4:45 is absolutely...
And I went to bed at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
We had to wake up at 2:30 in the morning because the race started at 4:15.
Oh, yeah.
So then 2:30 I wake up, have a shower, took another painkiller and stretched and I said we'll take a cab or whatever and head to the event. They had said report by 3 o'clock. I said, who's going to report at 3 o'clock for a 4:15? I'll report at 3:45.
Okay.
So I reached there, all the roads are blocked.
Yeah. Oh, this must be the first time you're doing a Delhi marathon.
Delhi, I didn't realize all the roads are blocked.
Yeah.
And then I had to run 2 kilometers to find the start line. And I reached the start line at 4:13 and the flag off was at 4:15.
Okay.
So I literally had time to like tie my shoelaces again. And the race started.
So you must have got a different...
So I did 44.4 actually.
Technically. So you must have got a different chip time and gun time technically because you were just around the start time, right?
Yeah, I mean, a minute or two later, right?
Okay,
I mean, it's whenever your chip time. So maybe I started 2 minutes late. I was like, let me catch my breath for a minute.
So getting into the race, did you had a kind of a goal based on those 6 odd weeks of training?
Yeah, I said just finish it.
Okay, that's about it.
First I said, okay, sub 5. But then with this whole back pain and neck spasm and all that, I said, just goddamn finish it. Okay. So I asked them, what's the cutoff? I think they said 6.5 hours.
That's not bad.
So I was like, okay, hopefully I make it. But so my goal, even leading up to the event, was sub 5 hours.
Yeah.
So when I started, I felt good.
Yeah.
I just ran. I made sure and day before the event, I did everything one shouldn't do.
Yeah.
I bought new socks.
Wow.
I had a water pack.
Water belt.
So I said, no, I don't like this water pack. I'm not going to take it. I'll buy one new one. So I bought a new water pack, which is things you never do. And the guy selling it to me said, listen, you really shouldn't be trying new stuff on the day of it.
So what was your running coach giving the checklist? Because these were exactly the
My
things which you should have
running
been
coach was not there. He was in the US. He wasn't even there to guide me at that point in time. So I just said, okay, whatever. Hail Mary.
Great. No, I mean, it's interesting because like when we were chatting, so I was in the same race as well, but I did a half marathon. And then later on I realized, and I was looking at social media somewhere and I saw Umar.
He was my strength coach.
He's a strength, he's a nice guy. And so I saw that he was there as well. And then I realized,
He just came to keep me company.
Wow, great. And he ran the entire 21 kilometers?
Yeah.
Or 42?
Almost. I think
nice.
almost.
Nice. So, that's so that's what I realized.
I think that helped. I think for me, I people really get me going. Like that's what I said. I love running with people. I love cycling with people. I think the company really helps.
But were
me.
your long runs you were also doing solo?
No,
or were
that
you
I did solo.
Solo.
Who's going to accompany me in the middle of the
25,
afternoon in Cumberland
yeah.
Park? They made me go fly a kite.
Right. So that for sure not would have been easy, right? Getting out middle of the day doing those 25, 30 odd kilometers.
Yeah, it wasn't, but I was like, hey, I have to do something if I
Okay.
have to get to
Okay.
this event.
Okay.
Like if I need to
Yeah.
finish it, I need to do something.
Right.
I didn't wake up early. I didn't
Okay.
do a 5 a.m. I said,
Okay.
let me get up at 8. Let me sleep in, spend time with the kids. And then I went at my own pace. When 9 o'clock I would go. So it was my fault that I went late.
Right.
But I paid the price for it. But actually it helped me because in Delhi what happened, we started 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was dark. It
Yeah.
was flat.
Flat coast Delhi
Carbon
supposed
Park
to be,
is a little up and down.
Yeah.
So it all worked out. And there's Bhangra playing.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
mentally just uplifts you. The crowd
Okay.
uplifts you.
Yeah.
Everything uplifts you.
Right.
So for me, actually the 42 was shockingly good.
Okay.
Like I know of course, 4:45 is not such a great time also,
Yeah.
but it included 20 stops. I stopped at every
hydration point.
point, took one sip because I wasn't carrying
Carrying
the water that I wanted to. And I took 2 bathroom breaks.
Okay.
So it wasn't bad. I was quite pleased.
Yeah, I mean 4:45 for someone.
For stopping 20 times and having 2 bathroom breaks is not bad.
Yeah, and for someone who hasn't trained along for marathon training,
and
right?
it was
So,
great.
yeah.
And actually, what I did was, which is my little secret, I did a lot of visualization.
Okay.
Like I just visualized myself crossing that finish line, having fun at it, and it worked.
How did that toolkit come to you? Right?
I did a hypnotherapy course once.
Okay.
Like a 3-day course.
Okay.
And I've used those tools and
Right.
it really helps.
Right.
Like, there are these stories of people who have had like accidents and then they're sitting in the hospital bed
Right.
and visualizing like
Yeah.
them playing golf, themselves
Yeah.
playing golf, and then they go
Yeah.
back and
Yeah.
they're playing amazingly well.
No, this is actually a very
Yeah.
very useful tool. I remember so there's this coach called Phil Jackson who is the Chicago Bulls
Yeah.
coach who's got the team to win the most NBA titles. So he has this thing saying that he would make these players go through these visualization exercises.
Yeah.
Like you visualize yourself that you're on the court.
Yeah.
Visualize yourself that you're taking those 6-pointers and hoops,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that helped these players to
Yeah.
come back and so I mean
I think
it's a real
tool
thing.
I've always used.
Yeah.
I use it for everything.
Right.
Everything. Like work, if I want a deal to close, I'll use it for that. If I want and it really helps. It works
Excellent.
like
Yeah.
like a charm.
Right. So since you're not so running is not a primary sport for you, right? Triathlon is, right? So
I like running the most.
so does it make sense to ask your 5K, 10K, half marathon PBs, or all of that came in your full marathon?
No. My fastest 10K was probably 54 minutes.
Okay.
And
How long
45 seconds.
How long back was that?
This was this Pinkathon.
Okay, okay.
Maybe 4-5 years back.
Okay.
And I think I came in the top, I think number 11 or something amongst
Okay.
the women, which I was
Wow.
like, hey, 1%, top 1% is good.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. But after that, and I was much like this was after the first child. After
Okay.
the second child, I've not gotten to that speed
Running.
yet.
Right.
Like I haven't reached those speed levels and that level of fitness yet.
Tell me, what's your relationship with food? Is it a means to, because you're now, I mean, I have to say, keep repeating myself,
Yeah.
you are an athlete,
Yeah.
you were wired like that. Is it a means to recover, perform, or, just let's get anything in the system?
I love food. I love junk food. I love all the kinds of food. But
Even now?
even now.
Okay.
So it's been a struggle. For me, I would say more than the discipline of actually getting my workout in, it's my discipline with food. Because honestly, for me, it's been like a stress. I sometimes I stress eat. So like if I've just had a really stressful day at work, or if I've just closed a big thing that I was supposed to do, I just finished a large event, then I need food from that perspective. But again, that's something I've been trying to get a hold of, because I don't want to. It's like, do you control food or does food control you?
Okay.
And I definitely don't want the latter.
Right.
So there are like this coffee that I just had is probably not something I should have had.
Second half of the day. Is it because
Second half of the day, and also
yeah.
it had like milk and sugar or whatever.
Right.
But again, it's like, hey, what are you trying to achieve? Like, and is this going to help me more than harm me, or harm me more than help me? Like,
Right.
So I keep asking, like, do you control food or does food control you? And that really puts things into perspective for me. I really enjoy eating healthy, but doesn't mean I don't enjoy the occasional
cheat meals.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I'm not that strict with food, honestly.
Okay,
But I am trying. I'm trying to be better about it.
So when you-
I don't strive for perfection in general.
Okay.
I think in life, and generally, I'm not a perfectionist. I believe in doing things like 90% right.
Right.
And then that last 10%, like, I feel like the return on time, the return on life, the return on effort is so great to get that perfection
Right.
that it's not worth it for me.
Does that
I'm
getting,
okay being...
Does that getting 10%, do you think, would get you to the podium?
No.
No, not yet.
I've started too late in life. Yeah, I've started at 35 plus.
Right.
I mean, I started
No, at age
my
category
real
level.
swimming, my real biking started at 35 plus.
Okay.
Maybe if I gave up my work, if I gave up my job and I did 8 hours of training, maybe
every
I
day,
could.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
But
is that an kind of a hidden aspiration?
No.
That doesn't fascinate you. Yeah.
I love what I do at work. It's taken me 14, I mean, I've been working now almost like 18 years. So I love what I do at work. I have a sense of purpose there. So I think being a professional athlete is tough.
Of course, yeah.
And it's so highly competitive that, like I said, to be that in the top 0.001% is so highly competitive that
Yeah, sure.
it's not my aspiration. I would love to be better than what I am today. But of course, who wouldn't love to win podiums and like smaller events and all that? I would love to do it. But I'll just try to keep getting better, faster, fitter.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Very intrinsic goals.
Yeah, I mean, if I grew up as an athlete, I think I would have different aspirations. But I didn't grow up as an athlete. I grew up doing sport as a pastime.
Yeah.
So it's different.
Right. So we spoke a lot about physical fitness. Tell me, what are your toolkits on mental fitness? We spoke about stress, which is known, and at the times where we live, I found that this hustle culture is kind of overrated, right? And it's celebrated for, I don't know for what, why. So what are the toolkits, what you have got to kind of combat and help you kind of build your strength on the mental fitness side?
Yeah, so honestly, I'm sort of guilty of this hustle culture. Like even if I have like 2 hours free, if suddenly some 2 hours free comes up, I'm like, why do I have, what am I not doing? Like, you know, like I'm like, why do I have this time available at my hands? Like, I should be doing something else. So I am guilty of it, frankly, and I don't think it's the best thing to do. Like, my ability to de-stress is very limited. I actually need to get more toolkits on how to do it. So the only time I spend sort of de-stressing is in the car on the way to office. So I have like a chant, like I listen to like chants, and I just try to breathe into it.
Okay.
And because it sets the day right, so it's a 6-minute chant. Like my attention span is also quite limited. Like if you ask me to meditate for half an hour, 45 minutes, I won't.
You won't. Okay.
So I can do 6 minutes.
Okay.
So this chant is like 6 minutes.
Okay.
So I listen to it on the way. And I think, you know, for me, a sense of meditation is like, hey, when I'm swimming, if I'm just focusing on the breathing, on my technique, it is meditative.
Sure.
If I'm running and I'm just focusing on my breathing and my technique, it is meditative. You know, so I guess I have my own forms of meditation. But mind, I think I do need to set my intentions for the day. So I try to set, hey, what do I want from this day? What are my 6 most important things I need to get out of today? So if you set the intention for the day, I think you generally land up prioritizing and achieving it. The chants, like I listen to some form of, you know, Sanskrit type chants.
Right.
And then I do like the visualization that I told you about.
Right.
I have
And this is both for your sport and for your professional life.
Personal, professional,
Right.
every
Everything.
life.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It really helps. Like every time I put in energy behind really wanting something, I've gotten it.
Has this working on the mental strength part, you feel kind of linked to the physical performance side? Has that been an anchor?
Yeah. I think mental is
All the thing.
is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, of course, you need to put in the work on the physical side. You can't magically just show up. But I think it just if you have the right attitude towards it, it puts you in the right frame of mind. Because you could be doing everything right, but if you have the wrong attitude, the wrong feeling about it,
Yeah.
You're not going to enjoy it. I'll tell you
Sure.
one more thing. Like I did my first Olympic distance and I put so much pressure on myself. I gave myself this really like stiff timing. And I finished the event and I was so upset with my timings. But it was also my first real swim, like in open water. It was my first. I did so many things that I could have just patted myself on the back and let
Sure.
it go.
Yeah.
Okay, the timing was not what I wanted to be, but I was so upset, and we were this was in Croatia.
Okay.
It was a Olympic distance.
Yeah.
And
So can you? So I want. Sorry.
Oh,
so I
are
want
you
you
going
to
to ask me my timing
No,
now?
no, I'm not going to ask you that. But I mean, just for the interest of others who are not into this, but I want you to break down Olympic distance. How much is the run, swim, and cycling distance?
Olympic distance is 1.5K swim.
Yeah.
40K bike and 10K run.
10K run, right? So, and you do back to back.
Back to
You
back.
start with swim, cycle, and run.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Please.
Swim always first, so that you're not
Yeah.
tired and like drowning in some water.
Right.
So I was, and for some reason, I started off well, and then the waves started hitting. It started like becoming a little.
But you knew
turbulent.
of the weather.
I knew it was cold, but
Okay.
we are in Bangalore, where do
Yeah.
you swim in
Yeah,
open
open water,
and
in cold weather.
That too in ocean and all that. So I had limited exposure, and I suddenly and then I started panicking, and I panicked so much, was not moving. I was kicking, not moving, and suddenly I turned around and I see there's nobody behind me, and the last one there.
Oh, I thought you were leading and no one was behind you. Oh, wow.
I was the last one out of the water.
Okay. And this is
And
age group?
halfway through, I realized I don't know age group. I was
Okay.
the last
Last one.
one out of the water.
Okay.
One of the last to enter. I'm not saying I entered first and came last, but I was one of the last to enter.
Sure.
But everybody had overtaken me,
Okay.
and I was like, should I call the boat? Like I'm just like, forget this. I can't do it. Like I was panicking, and I was swimming and not moving. Then finally, my daughter was actually there too. And I was like, listen, I can't disappoint her. Let me just get out just for her. Let me just get out of this just for her. And I pushed through. I got out. I made it in the cutoff. I managed to do it, but I was so disappointed with my timing and my performance that we had a holiday planned after it. And I was
couldn't
upset
get
the
the
whole
break.
holiday. As opposed to, then I changed my framework and I said, no expectations. So now I just say, I just want to complete. I really don't put any expectations, because you'll say, oh, let me do it in 6 hours, let me do it in 7 hours. And you don't do it. And then you're just going to feel so shitty and disappointed and forget about all the hard work that you put in. So right now I have no expectations. I try. I mean, of course, internally I have.
So is that a mental model, that not going into expectation as you train?
Because now suppose I had told myself after this Delhi marathon, if I had said 4.5 hours, you have to finish it, and I did in 4 hours 45 minutes, I would have been upset. But I just said, I had told myself 5 hours. Anyway, I did it in 4 hours 45, so I'm very happy. But towards the end, I was just like, just complete it, man. Like, all things considered, just complete it. I know there are a lot of people who are athletes, always strive for excellence and all that, but I think for me, I want a happy balance, in life.
So how are you calibrating? And I ask this because I train, and I also train with the same psychology that...
Which one? Excellence, is it?
Kind of. I have to accept, I can't say I'm guilty of it, but I'm now wired in terms of performance. I mean, I started, of course, to stay fit, but right now it's more about how to keep getting better and faster. So for me, it's, and I'm self-coached, so when I kind of create my training plan, I have to always have these markers to understand, am I getting better? Or how do I set reasonable expectation? No, this is what it is, and doesn't make sense to push through. So having that number, like a goal, B goal, kind of some helps, because it also allows you to understand what's your threshold. It also allows you to kind of unlock what you may not know unless you kind of push a little bit, right? I mean, you could...
And it's all context. I did that sprint triathlon 9 months after my daughter was born.
9 months into?
9 or 10 months after my daughter was born.
Wow, okay.
So it's context. I did my half Ironman 2 years after she was, so the next year. So it's context. I was like, listen, your body has been through a lot.
Yeah.
Just give yourself a break and be happy that you finished what you set out to do.
Right.
As opposed to saying, oh, I took half an hour longer than I wanted to. Like, which attitude would you rather have? Like, honestly, it's like, what serves you better? If pushing yourself and saying, oh, I should have done this half an hour faster serves you better, go ahead and have that attitude. But I was so depressed after that Olympic distance. I was like, forget it, man. I'm not doing this to myself. It's really wrong for myself. And so now I'm so happy after. And probably people who finished the full marathon in 4 hours instead of 3 hours 50 minutes are super disappointed. And I'm
Right.
like, okay, you be disappointed. I'm going to be happy with what I did.
Well, you anyway got your
It's
15
whatever
minutes.
serves you better.
True.
What serves you better? Like what's
Right.
going to help you live a
Right.
better life, you know?
Right.
So happiness, as they say, is a choice.
Right.
So I'm going to be happy with my time.
Yeah, superb. So between you and Varun, do you guys pick up a race and kind of go for that together, or it's solo racing, separate race calendars you've got?
So we try, honestly, when we do together, it really doesn't work out because somebody's got to look after the kids.
Because he was just telling me he's aiming for the half Ironman in Goa.
In Goa.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, do it because I would have finished mine.
Yeah.
I will put extra effort with the kids. Just help me a little extra before
Right
my
now,
event.
yeah.
And I'll help you extra after for your event.
Yeah.
It's a give and take. I don't think it's wise for us to be doing the same calendar because who's going to look after the kids? And it really helps to, like, somebody's got to be there on Sunday when they wake up. If I'm busy cycling, at least I know he's there with the kids.
Yeah.
So I think it helps to have different calendars and different goals.
Yeah. Does that help in terms of having, again, that fabric in the family that your partner is also in the same, I mean, he's also wired, let's not say like he's as an athlete, but he's also wired in terms of fitness, and it comes naturally. And I'm saying, not to generalize, but you might have friends and family members where this might not be the fabric, right? So does this help?
So it definitely helps compared to like my immediate family who just don't get it. Who's like, why are you doing this to yourself?
Yeah.
So he gets it. So it helps.
Yeah. Helps in back into you in terms of your training.
Yeah. Helps in terms of the support and the understanding of what it requires and the understanding that you're going to be tired after XYZ, and so you may be a little more irritable or you may be whatever. So that definitely helps.
Yeah.
And I think like he's a very naturally good eater, doesn't touch processed foods.
Wow.
Yeah. Whereas I'm always
That's
reaching.
Too much of resistance he's got. Yeah.
But that's good. He's an organic farmer also. So he's all about eating good food, like not
natural stuff.
Reheating, recooking, redoing all these things. So everything has to be fresh.
Right.
Because I'm like, hey, just eat the leftovers. Yeah, it's okay. Like, you know. So it helps though.
Yeah. So let's shift gears. Professional life. You lead a large. How many employees?
About 2,000.
2,000 employees.
2,000 direct employees, but if you add like contractors, subcontractors and stuff, like maybe close to 20,000.
Yeah. So like I said in the beginning, you're an outlier because not a typical industry and a career path where women leaders are there. And not a typical, I would say, a blue-collar job because you are out in the construction sites and all of that, right? I'm sure by now your colleagues know that other side of yours, right? So is there a culture in the company where people are taking up, looking, because that's been your, system of thinking that, look, if you do it, people are. So is there a culture inside the Brigade Group that, the leader is into extreme endurance sport, so we should at least get our 10,000 steps or whatever? So,
I think it's definitely there. I think naturally people are more health conscious now. So with or without me, I'm sure people would have been health conscious. But I think it's definitely appreciated. You know, you don't sometimes want a leader who just works, like their whole life cannot be just eat, work and sleep. You know, it helps to have a passion outside of work. It gives you some color and to your personality.
Yeah.
It makes you more 2 or 3 dimensional and not one dimensional. It's not just work. And I think I also don't want a one dimensional personality. Like when we hire people, you will obviously want to hire somebody who has other passions in life.
Yeah.
If they're like, we always ask, so what are your other hobbies? What do you read? What do you do for fun? If they only say, I only work. I only I come back, watch TV and I work. Would you rather hire that person or somebody who says, hey, I'm into sport. Hey, I like learning a new language. Hey, I go dancing. Hey, I know this skill. Obviously, you'd want a person with a little more color and flavor to them. So I think from that perspective, it really helps. It helps that I have these other passions. Of course, people will say, oh, because you're doing this, I want to do at least 10K. I'm pushing myself to do a first half marathon. I think TCS, we've all registered. Some 20, 30
coming
in
May, yeah.
I think 20, 30 of us have registered.
Wow.
So it'll be fun. So I think it all helps. But of course, then of course, as a promoter, it's like, I remember once somebody asked me in a full boardroom, there were 20 people sitting there, all men. And they're like, Nirupa, how do you have time to run your company if you're always running in the park? Okay. And I'm like, so I said, I run before you wake up, so don't worry about it.
Right.
I mean, like, this gentleman was like overweight and nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But don't question me on my choices, and I'm not questioning you on your choices.
Right,
Like asking me how I have time, I'll make time. You
Yeah.
make time for the things
Yeah.
that are important to you.
Yeah.
Like work is very important to me. I
Right.
make time. Like I'm okay working on the weekends. I work on the weekends when I have to. Nobody's asking me, why are you working on the weekends?
Sure.
So if I need to like give a little on a weekday for something, and maybe I need to leave an hour early, don't question me why I'm leaving
Right.
early. Like,
Right.
do your work, get your results.
Right. That matters.
And that matters. And, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Like I said, for me, work is priority.
Yeah.
This I get is a hobby, but it's also important. Yeah, you can't.
So do you think, and I'm again not trying to generalize here, but that piece where mostly in the corporate career and something which I'm yearning to kind of explore is that identity is not there a lot in our culture specifically, and I've seen that a little more in the Western culture where corporate culture in the corporate circle, the athletic side or the sporting side is celebrated, right? Not at least in the boardroom, but probably I'm not sure at the management level people might have. So, do you think that's something like culturally, we've missed, and what's your take on that?
I mean, when do we ever push?
Yeah.
Other sport. Like I think people, when obviously as an employer, you want to get the maximum out of your team and everything, but I think sport is required, and I think it's changing. I think now you have a lot of CEOs who are into running, and then you have like in what you see in your Mumbai Marathon, there are a lot of leaders who run. Of course, then there'll be the cynics who say, oh, see, this person had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Why do you want to run?
But
see,
more
that
people
person
die
got
on-
an accident because they were cycling on Hebal.
Yeah.
I get it, but anything can happen while you're sitting in your couch in
Right.
your living room too. Do you want to live your whole life sitting on a couch?
Right.
So you got to go out there and do stuff, and of course it's all scary. Yeah, like I don't think cycling in Bangalore roads is.
Yeah.
I definitely, again, I say a little prayer. I'm like, oh God, please take me back to my children.
Of course.
Because it is scary. I'm not saying no.
And
it's not.
do you
safe.
have to make those choices between your indoor rides and your outdoor rides?
I prefer indoor because it's less hazardous,
yeah.
but that's why I like to go on Sundays when there's less traffic.
Yeah.
It is, and that's why you try to go as a group. But
yeah.
anything can happen to you at any time. So
of course.
I mean, you can't live in fear.
Do you have people inside your company whom with you exchange notes around triathlon?
No.
None.
I don't know too many people honestly doing triathlons.
Okay. Inside the Brigade Group?
No.
None. Okay.
I mean, I think some are into different sorts of fitness. Like some are into their yoga, some are into running, some are into walking, some are into different things. Not too many doing triathlons.
Right.
There was one person who I hired as a triathlete, but then she soon left. So.
Okay. Tell me, if you had to pick someone to go on for a race and you're calling out a name, could be in your industry, real estate, or generally in the corporate world, who would you want to call out and say,
What do you mean call out?
Call out a name to say that I would want to ask someone to come and compete with me. Must be for fun, but let's say compete, either it could be a 10K or it could be a cycling or let's say a triathlon. Do you have a name?
Like somebody who's already in the sport?
No, generally, I mean, they might be into sport, or you just want to kind of call them out to say, that, hey, let's do a competition together. Or again, someone who's already into sport.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I need to think about somebody I'd want to hang with.
Yeah.
Or
in your training circle, have someone in your mind, you say that, I should go and compete with someone.
Haven't thought of anybody.
The athlete in you doesn't have that competitive names around you to tell it that's the person.
No, because first of all, I'm trying to think of somebody who's already into the sport.
Okay.
Second, I'm trying to think of somebody who would be interesting to hang out with.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to think, hey, if I could get this person to, like, I could spend, for me, I'm thinking, hey, can I spend 1 hour with this person chatting? Like, I love catching up with people over a run.
Right.
If I could think of somebody like that, I'm just trying to think of a name I would want to hang with. I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, says a lot that there aren't many people who are doing the sport.
I'm just thinking of like who would I want to hang with?
Around.
You know?
Yeah, okay.
Like, I think like if you sharing a run with somebody is very
personal. Yeah.
It's very what do you call it? It's like welcoming them into your home.
Sure.
You know?
Right.
Because it's like, hey, that your time.
Should be comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I love spending time running with people who I enjoy having a conversation with. So I sometimes go with my old running coach just to catch up with him, and we talk about everything from philosophy to, you know, to business people getting into the sport to everything. You know, and it's just a wonderful 1 hour conversation, and I love doing that. But I'm trying to think which business personality I would like to.
No, that's okay. You can always get back to it. Whom do you find the fitter in your realm? Anyone fit in your circle, in your network? The fittest in terms of, and the definition of fittest could be anything, but someone you look up to and say that that person is really fit.
You're asking me
again
always.
A tough one. No, I thought this one should come naturally because you see people.
No, see, everybody has like got their own. There's nobody I'm looking up to right now to be like, oh, I want to be like you. I think I've not grown up like that.
Okay.
I just look to myself. Sorry, it sounds a little arrogant, but
no, it is not.
I actually only look to myself. I actually am not looking to anybody. So I want to be like you. I want to like emulate this part. Maybe there's something I want to emulate in somebody else, somebody's attitude or somebody's discipline. But there's no like one person who says like, I'm not trying to emulate that person.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Because like, I know there's a girl who's super disciplined about everything, but she doesn't work. So she has the time to dedicate and the energy. There's another guy who's got great attitude. I'd love to emulate his attitude when it comes to taking on a challenge. But I'm saying like, I'm not able to think, hey, this one person I want to be like. Apart from myself.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean everyone has that internal.
Yeah, I just don't like to do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. There's one thing you like to change about yourself, which you would know would make you a better person. What would that be? Could be habits.
I'd like to have honestly more patience.
Okay.
Patience with myself, patience with time, patience with the process, patience with my kids, patience in life. I think that I'm learning, I'm getting better, but it's something I wish I had more of. Like, you know, when you trust the process, like everything doesn't have to happen like now. So I think patience with things and people.
Repeating again, you know, you're an outlier, right? So a lot of it doesn't come naturally to people, especially women, to kind of think through this realm of staying healthy, staying fit, because most thing, you know, that's not a priority because you have to take care of child, home, and then work, all of that, right? So I'm not asking you to give tips, right? But rather, what are the one or two things you could say that you have applied practically, because that seemed to be a pursuit what you're now comfortably living. You have applied and you felt that's something what you would like to open source and share. Like, what are the one or two things women in specific could apply in term basis on what you have put yourself through?
Yeah. So I think one thing I do want to share is that like what I see both in the corporate world and sometimes in the sport world is like once you have kids, everything comes to a standstill, right? Like women quit their jobs post kids, women maybe give up on time for themselves post kids. And for me, actually, the opposite happened. And for me, I took maternity leave for 6 months for both my kids. And I had the biggest breakthroughs in work because of that time, because I delegated all my work. And so I had time to step back, reflect. And I think like you were saying, this hustle is so overrated. And I've slowly started to give myself time to just calm down and not do anything, like actually take time to just clear your desk, you know, clear your papers, because that brings in a lot of like clarity and calmness. And so same thing, when I went on maternity leave, I had one of my biggest breakthroughs at work where I set up my own initiative in the technologies, real estate technology side of things. And nobody in Asia had done it. Only 2-3 people in the globe had done it, and nobody in India had done it.
This is accelerator.
Yeah. So that idea came to me, the work I did came during the maternity leave. And so once I came back post the maternity leave, I implemented on this idea. And it really, I think I started to get my own identity for work because of that. And I got a lot of good PR because of that recognition and all that. The second thing is that both my kids, I gained 30 kilos. Don't ask me why. I have no excuse. But I gained 30 kilos, and to lose that, like I didn't allow it to sit. Somebody had told me, just gain whatever you want, just make sure you lose it in the first year. So I just followed that advice.
Okay.
And it really helped. Like I got fitter. Like I said, I've become more fit post my 2 kids than I was in my 20s. I can do more today at 40 than I could when I was 20. Like I said, at 18, I had trouble walking up a flight of stairs. So, and today, you tell me tomorrow go up and do a 21K, I'll do it. Maybe not as fast as you, but I'll do it.
Yeah.
So, I really feel that I love getting older. I love what age does to me. I just feel like I'm more mature, more self-confident, more self-assured. Self-esteem is better. I just love who I am at 40 compared to who I was at 20, you know? And I'm saying, again, my kids, having those 2 kids made me better at work. They made me strive for more. And because sometimes it's the tipping point, right? It's kind of reverse. Like I got so big that I had to like do something drastic to get back to where I was. But probably like in college, I was saying I was yo-yoing. I was neither too bad, neither too good. So I just went in that sense of averageness. I just moved in that average space. Whereas after after the kids, it's really made me more driven. You become more sensitive to time. I'm like one machine when it comes to time, so I'm just a lot more efficient. I may not work. Before my kids, I used to work 10, 12 hours a day. Today I might work 8 hours a day, but I am so much more efficient in those 8 hours than I was when I had 12 hours to work.
Is it because now you know that those specificities on what your time is already
I have to
plotted.
spend time with the kids.
Yeah, it's plotted.
Like the 4 hours, maybe I spend 4 hours.
Therefore,
a day
you're
with
more
them.
efficient on the time availability what you got.
Maybe the 4 hours I used to spend on myself working, and now I have to spend on my kids. So I just have to be more efficient. I make sure I hire more efficient people because I know that my efficiency is dependent on them. So I'm better at hiring people. I'm more incentivized to have a high-performing team because my performance depends on them. If they're not high-performing, I'm not going to be able to perform. So it's made me better in so many ways. And this myth of like after kids, like that weight you gain will never go, or after kids, your career has to take a back seat. No, not necessarily. Of course, each family situation is different.
Sure.
You need the support system. You need family support. All that is there. So I'm not trying to say there's a one size fits all. But for me, that really worked. And for me, I've really looked at getting better, fitter, stronger with age. And I hope that at 45, my full Ironman at 45 will be a lot faster than the one at 40.
Of course, yes. I'm cheering for you that and look forward to that.
That's the plan.
Yes. So Varun gets the sport. Kids are looking at it, so they know what you're doing it. What about your mom and dad now? Do they now get what you're doing?
No, they don't.
Why you still don't get it?
I don't talk about it to them.
And you don't put your time to kind of still go but explain why you're putting those hours.
No.
They only know when you're going for the race.
I'm not going to share this podcast with my mom and dad.
But it's in public, so someone would share, right? But do they know that you're signed up for Copenhagen?
No, of course not.
So it's official anyway, though.
Delete this.
So I hope.
No, I'm going to cut off the video of this podcast. My parents have no clue I've signed up for Copenhagen full Ironman. They will tell me to stop right now.
But your team member knows about it, right? Your team, your management team, they also don't know.
So I'm going to delete.
So the board knows by now.
The board does not know.
That is cool.
I've only applied for leave.
Okay.
I've said I'm not in town from April 16 to April 25th. They don't know why. They don't know what.
They still don't know.
Yeah.
Excellent. No, I'm sure all of them would be
Nobody
very happy
knows.
with the.
I'm in stealth mode right now.
Debut Ironman. But did they know about your debut marathon? No. They didn't know.
See, I'll tell you, this is the sad part. The moment you're doing something else, people think you're distracted.
Okay. Why do you think that's how it is?
Like I said, the comment, where do you have time to run your company if you're busy running in the park? This is the comment I got.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter that I run 1 hour a day and I'm working 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
So perception is, that's a problem. And I do this on my own time.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's made me a better leader.
Yeah.
And that it's an intangible, so it's hard to show the benefit of.
Right.
But that's a fact. People think oh, if she has other passions in life, where does she have time for her kids? Where does she have time for work? Where does she have time for
Sure.
her husband?
Is this friction, do you think, specifically coming to you because you are at that leadership position, or do you think that's relevant across the spectrum?
I think more so because of the role that I'm in.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably because of the sensitivity of the role.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, like I said, that's why I need to balance it out. That's why it's one event a year.
Sure.
I'm not training for like 6 events in the year. I have one event a year.
Yeah.
You train and then you take a break.
Right.
You know, it's usually 6 months of training and 6 months of, and something's got to give. And it's okay. It's a choice one makes. And I really think it makes you better. Like I know when I go talk to investors, the other day I had to go on road shows. I spoke to some investors and that guy happened to be into marathons.
Okay.
And he was so taken up that I was also doing marathons that it sometimes helps. It's a point of connection.
Of course.
And
is that, do you think that's changing now? Since you said, there are corporate leaders who are running Tata Mumbai marathons and all, so is that changing now?
See, it's the meaning you give to it. You're always gonna have some cynics who'll be like, oh, where do you have the time? Like, why are you doing
Why would
this?
you doing that? Yeah.
It's your life. You have to live it to the fullest.
Yeah.
I don't want to cow down to cynics.
Yeah, I think, true. I think, I would really want that that mindset to go from why you're doing to how you're doing it, because that just opens up opportunities for many people. Not that they need encouragement, but it just opens up that ability to let's now.
Yeah, like I'm always questioning, like you have to be a high performing individual.
Yeah.
How do you be a high performing individual? Like what do I need to do to perform? Like at work, like for me, again, work is super important. Of course, this is a triathlon focused podcast, so I'm talking about the triathlon.
Yeah.
But if it's a work related podcast, I'm not going to be talking about my triathlon, you know? But it's how you want to spend your time in your life, and I don't know why people need to have so many judgments and opinions about it. But like I said, I've made a decision, I've made a choice. I have a plan. I know what I'm doing. Allow me to do what I need to do with my life, you know? And it's parents, you know, I think parents actually come from a place of, is this safe for you to do? Is this good for your health?
Yeah.
So it's not from any other.
They don't get it.
Parents are parents. They'll be, my dad's like, why do you want to go swim in that lake? Why do you want to go cycle on the road? They're parents. Fathers and mothers are going to care for you and for your safety. So it's their concern is coming from them, and I don't want to unnecessarily stress them out.
Sure. No. Time management of course, it's all about time management, and that makes me ask, right, what's your social media protocol, right? Because again, the life we live, that consumes most of your time. So what's your protocol?
I'm not on many of the platforms.
Okay.
So I'm not on Twitter.
Okay.
LinkedIn, I think my PR team manages, so I'm not on LinkedIn for all. I don't use Facebook.
Okay.
The only thing I use is Instagram.
Okay.
I post sporadically.
Okay. Is it more of your participations and winnings, or is this more family thing?
No, I don't do family and stuff.
Okay.
I just do, it's either corporate.
Okay.
Or it's more, I would say it's more branding.
Okay. Building up your personal brand.
So I use it for work,
Okay.
and I use it for my personal stuff. I'm not a big fan of posting all these very personal family moments. I'm not a fan of that.
No medals of the finish lines.
That's what I said. Personal stuff, like
building a brand.
My hobby, and it's like it's more,
So it's more outward, telling the world, or is it inward? Do you also consume content which comes from social media?
I consume like most of my, like some of my news comes from social media.
Okay.
So a lot of it is on health, like all the hazard nutritionists and
Human
health, all that. So I use it for information, sometimes a bit of retail therapy.
Okay. And that's decent for you. Is that something what you think is? You don't have to work on those timelines, and that's decent enough. The social media.
No, I don't have a plan, and it's not like I don't have a program to like get X number of followers and all that.
No, so I'm asking in the sense, like, it's doing good for yourself, whatever time you're spending
on social media.
Yeah, is it or do you think that needs some regulation?
I actually don't spend too much time.
Okay.
Like maybe I don't know, like when I'm in the car.
Okay.
Or, if I have some free time.
Between
it's
the
not like
things.
I'm just
Okay.
sitting on the couch
And doing
going,
that. Okay.
scrolling through social media.
Okay.
I don't think I spend too much time on that.
Right. Great. So
It's like, it's an in-between filler,
Right.
It's not like I don't, like at night, I'm not sitting and scrolling through social media instead of sleeping.
Right. So a lot of people, I mean, the reason why I sat down today with you was to kind of set this tone to also unpack what makes you do what you're doing and why you're doing it, right? So I think we've kind of, opened the can a lot on
and
that.
that's maybe one of the reasons why I don't have too much on what I do outside of work.
Yeah.
Because it's like, for the reasons I just mentioned in this podcast, it's like, if I have so much on my personal life and my training, then I'm going to get questions like,
Right.
when is she working?
Yeah. And
but nobody's going to say that to a voracious reader.
Sure.
Like,
Why
what if
reading
I
so
spend 3
much?
hours reading?
Right.
Like, what if I spend 3 hours a day reading a book?
Yeah,
That's okay.
that's a
what if I
very-
spend 3 hours watching Netflix? That's
Of course,
okay.
of course,
Nobody's
yeah.
asking me why you're watching so many Netflix programs, right?
Right,
They don't know that I don't watch TV. They don't know that I don't watch Netflix. They don't know that, hey, I'm not socializing like 6 nights a week. They don't know that.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are you exercising 2 hours a day?
Yeah.
But nobody's questioning how many hours of TV anybody is watching or how many hours of books they're reading or I don't know what other hobby, gaming. Like, we're not doing all of that. So it's just so lopsided sometimes.
I know.
And you're doing something that's good for you and your mind and your body and it's a question, As they say, like when you eat healthy or you don't drink, like 100 questions as to why you're not drinking.
Yeah.
Why are you not eating sugar? Like, why are you not doing
But
that?
at that time when you say that, look, I'm training
You're
or
boring.
I'm cognizant
You're
about...
a killjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know that. No, it's... I think,
I've been called boring so many times and I get very offended by it, but...
So I've seen that as a first world identity for a lot of recreational amateur athletes because that's what they find themselves into a situation because most of their friends who don't connect to what they do find them boring because you don't turn up on Friday parties, and even if you turn up, you say that by 9 o'clock you want to move back and you're not having more than one drink because you have a long run tomorrow. So, and most people have now started making peace with it because that is who you are. So you have to kind of agree to
the
it.
problem is I need to make peace with it too. Like I said, I enjoy socializing. I get energy from people. So for me, that friendships, the socializing is important.
Yeah.
So that's why yesterday I said I went out.
Yeah.
I went out.
Yeah.
And it was important for me.
Right.
So I did it.
Right. Tell me, so you run a startup accelerator. So you are into startups already.
Yeah.
If you had want some areas where you could see some innovation in the health and fitness space, problems what you might have seen firsthand or you would rather want people to build, does some topics or areas come to your mind which you think, look, would be cool if some startups can go out and build something around health and wellness? Could be nutrition, could be food, could be, I don't know, fitness. Anything comes to your mind?
Honestly, I think there's so much tech already out there. Like on my Garmin, I see my, you have that.
In fact, I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask you, what's your take on wearables? How much of, are you a data person? Are you, like, do you track a lot of your statistics?
Some of it.
Okay.
Like, okay, my heart rate or certain other things. But like, like I'm not obsessed. Like I used to wear that Fitbit that used to track your sleep score.
Okay.
And it stressed me out more than I wouldn't sleep, So I just said, screw this.
And this I've seen, this I've heard
No,
from...
I don't want to track my sleep. And I don't want anything on my body. And I don't want any Bluetooth.
There's too much intrusion.
No, I don't want anything on my body when I'm sleeping.
Okay.
And I think there is on my Garmin my stress score.
Okay.
And sometimes you get more stressed looking at how stressed you are.
When the Garmin say that you're too stressed.
Yeah, I don't want to know how stressed I am, and manage it.
Yeah.
And then there's another app I started to do on like your sleep deficit.
Okay.
And you feel so bad when you have a deficit. Like I would look at the app only when I knew I'd slept well and not look at it when I knew I didn't sleep well. So I'm like, what is the point of this? So I think sometimes with data basics, I just stick to the basics. I probably need one of those glucose monitoring things.
Okay.
I don't have those patches and probably I think I need one.
Okay. Is that because you're now looking at a nuanced nutrition side?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just want to
explore that side of it.
aspect.
Yeah.
I haven't really
I can
gotten
recommend you
into
few. Yeah.
Okay, good. But I don't like that pricking. And
Yeah, that's the only way because that's the only invasive way. Else, unless Apple seems to be working on something, Apple Watch, but
Yeah.
nothing is out in the market.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the least invasive.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
a non-invasive
Yeah,
thing to
non-invasive
monitor.
is not out there
Yeah,
yet. Yeah,
glucose and
Yeah.
glucose monitoring.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
don't like having something on me all the
things
time, so I've
kicking
not used that. Whatever the
Yeah.
ultra. What's it
yeah, ultra human.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, so what are the areas you think people should innovate? Any specific areas come to
Just
mind?
said one.
Yeah. Okay.
The glucose
Glucose monitor, which is
non-invasive
non-invasive glucose monitor.
glucose monitoring. And what else? I think there's something for everything already. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's something for everything already.
No healthy snacks, healthy desserts. What comes to your mind?
No.
You're already having enough.
No, I just think if you want to eat the sugar, just eat the sugar.
Okay. Make
you want
peace
to eat
with it.
something fried, just eat the fried thing.
Make
Like
peace
don't
with
do
it.
some, get your I think less processed stuff. So I'm trying to eat more fresh food.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm just trying to buy less protein bars and less protein balls and less everything.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to eat fresh,
Natural whole food.
naturally, and just work like that.
Excellent. So
I don't think I want to. I don't know, I tried all this keto stuff, and I'm like, I don't.
Oh, you
feel
tried
good.
all of that? Okay.
Like I've tried everything.
Okay.
I don't feel good.
Okay.
And I think just eating natural food, cooked fresh, is great.
Okay.
Fruits, vegetables, dals,
Right.
and yeah,
And you're a non-veg eater?
I'm non-vegetarian.
Okay. So protein should not come like a big problem.
Yeah, but I'm not a huge meat eater. Like I
Okay.
actually don't like the concept of eating meat.
Okay.
I don't like that concept, but I eat it because I think I'm just grown up.
Okay.
I'm half Malayali, so I.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's like a
So,
default thing on the plate.
Yeah, it's a default thing. But I don't need it. So at home we are vegetarian. My husband's vegetarian.
Okay.
So at home we are completely. So breakfast and dinner is completely
Okay.
vegetarian. Lunch, I usually get it at office, so
Okay.
I get something made. For
Okay.
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're almost wrapping up. If someone had to start, if people are sitting on the fringe right now, and that's what most of our people around us is. There always this January moment when you think that, okay, now let's get that resolution done, or you're always sitting at the edge, procrastination. What is that would you want to tell them? Like, what's the easiest way which makes them go and do something tomorrow? Like, what's the mental model for them? It could be anything, running, cycling, but essentially the mental model, what they can start. How would they want to start?
So I really like that philosophy of 1% better every day. So I don't think that you can get 1% better every day, because for me, I've realized that success is not linear. There are a lot of ups and downs, but I think, not you don't have to set any big targets. So if you're at half a kilometer, move to one, small baby steps. And I think that's really helped. The small baby steps, some level of consistency really helps. Yeah. And that's it. And sometimes somebody was telling me, like I was asking a friend who had biked a lot. Yeah. And I was like, man, I've done 100 once in my life. How do I get to 200? And he said, it's not about the big rides all the time. It's sometimes just doing smaller rides consistent. It's like doing the 50Ks twice a week instead of doing the hundreds once a week.
Yeah.
Maybe 250Ks twice a week is more important than 100 once a week.
Yeah.
So it's just the consistency. And I think I need to also improve on the consistency. So I'm not going to give gyan on how to be very consistent, because I think I could do a lot better there too.
Yeah.
So I just think it's small baby steps. For me, I like some people will go from 0 to, like you were saying, 0 to full marathon.
Yeah.
I like to take it progressively. So I would say just start small, just do the first K. And I have friends who are very fit, but they're not runners. So for them, hey, 3K is a big deal. Hey, 5K is a big deal. So just whatever suits you. And I would say do what suits you. Like maybe running doesn't suit you. Maybe swimming doesn't suit you, and maybe biking doesn't suit you, and maybe something else suits you. Just do what you love. It should be fun. Approach it with fun.
I think that's the most important part.
Yeah,
right?
like
it
people
should be
forget to have fun, and that's when I have a problem with it.
Okay.
When it starts stressing me out more than
the fun part.
Actually being fun. But I also understand everything cannot be fun all the time. You have to go through the pain and the rigor and learn to enjoy the pain.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's one thing I would say.
Yeah.
It's the pain and learn to enjoy the pain, like the process. Like, hey, this is tough. And
The hidden treasure is inside those suffering.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Like, what are you? So there's that book, right? The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up.
Yeah.
I love that book. That is one of my most favorite books because everything just hit home. And I think the author Mark Manson says, "Hey, what are you willing to suffer for?"
Yeah.
So I'm willing to suffer for this.
No, fabulous.
That's a great. It's a great way to look at it.
Of course.
Because anything good or difficult you want to achieve involves suffering. So when I say enjoy the process, of course you'll enjoy it, but it involves suffering too. So are you willing to suffer for it? And that's a question that really changed my framework. Because as a child growing up as a teenager, the moment I started suffering, I said, forget it. I'm not doing it. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not doing it. Whereas now, as you get much older, you realize it's a cause worth fighting for. So suffering is actually good. Sometimes.
Yeah, and that's what they say. Like, pain is also good, right? I mean, you have to experience the pain to kind of cherish the joy.
If you can go through suffering with a smile on your face, nothing can touch you.
Yeah. So as a triathlete, do you have a pain cave?
What is a pain cave?
So the space at your home where you put all your treadmills and your bikes and your gym session, which is like, I mean, triathletes call themselves, mostly it's in the basement and they call that a pain cave.
No,
because you're doing all the,
mine
you
is all
don't have
spread
that.
out and it's a happy cave. I don't like that concept. Like, no, it's a, no, it's
No
all
pain
spread
cave.
out. Like everything is all spread out. So I don't have like this one location. I have my bike on the balcony, so it's outside. And that's it. Then the gym is in my mother's house. The pool is in my mother's house. So it's all spread out.
Right. Brilliant. So I'm. It's been very fun, exciting conversation, Nirupa. Most importantly, I'm very excited about Copenhagen. I have to keep telling this because that's not going on, and people know by now that Copenhagen is on the calendar. I'm also excited to see if you can come back and do another road racing. 445 as a debut is not bad at all, considering that not much of training went in. So I'm also keen and excited. What would that be if you had to train for a full marathon specifically? And there's been very fun conversation, knowing that other side of yours, and I really hope folks listening, watching, get some notes, get some takeaways, which makes them go back and say, look, if she can do it, I could also get started with a 5K or whatever they want to do.
100%. If
right?
I can do
so
it, anybody can
and
do it.
By now, since people know that you are a fairly experienced athlete in the space, so people should now reach out to you to get some tips, right? How to get better. No, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was a fun conversation. Yes, and that was the idea. And we should do again a post-race Copenhagen to check what's happening. And look forward to the next piece when we catch up.
Sounds good.
Right?
Thank you.
Thank you, Nirupa. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you for listening and watching this episode with Nirupa. I had a lot of fun. It's a long conversation. I hope you got a lot of cues and tips to perhaps start your journey with triathlons or marathon. Send me some feedback. Let me know how I can get better. You can reach me at LinkedIn, Twitter, or here on YouTube. Let me know if there are other interesting people you want me to talk to, and I will find a way to get them to this podcast. See you at the next episode. Thank you.